Okay, today I'm going to show you the very basics of using our lathe in the metal shop here at Rocky Mountain High School. What I'm going to demonstrate is making a ring. Here's a couple examples, and these rings are accurate to within about 1/1000th of an inch, and your expectation is to get within a hair thickness, so about 3/1000ths of an inch. I'm going to be making this ring to meet these dimensions. So the inside diameter of the ring is going to be 820 thousandths, and the outside diameter of the ring is going to be 945 thousandths of an inch. To do that, we are going to use a combination of the precision of the lathe and the dial caliper, which is accurate to 1/1000th of an inch. For this, you'll need to watch the other video on how to use a dial caliper. So the lathe itself can be pretty intimidating. It's a big machine, has a bunch of knobs on it. It's very, very powerful. It's 220 volts, and it's about 6 feet long and has a lot of things going on. But just for the basics, it's not too bad and not too scary once you understand how to use it. First and most important, with any time you're using machine tools or working in the metal shop, safety glasses. In this case, my prescription glasses will work. Same if you have prescription glasses. Otherwise, you must have safety glasses on. And the safety glasses, these will work for this, but there are certainly applications where you would need better eye protection than just your prescription glasses. Also, hearing protection is important. The machining makes very high frequency sounds that can be damaging to your ears. And next but not least, make sure you don't have any extra danglies hanging on, loose clothing, long hair, which I don't have that problem, but if you have long hair, you want to make sure you put it back or under a cap. Headphones with the cords for like music headphones, all those things should be really removed, and they can become very dangerous on a machine like this. A few of the quick settings on here I want to show you. We have this chart over here. You notice the top number is JLP at 1800. The bottom number is HKM at 40. That's the speed of the lathe. So here, right now it is set at HLP. So HLP is 910 rotations per minute. So we are going to change that to 650. JLM. And this is a transmission. It's not like going to M. So I can turn the stack here a little bit, and there we go. JLM, 650. What that does is change the speed of the headstock. And I'm going to turn on the headstock. I'll show you that switch in a moment. Okay. The power is in what's seemingly an obscure place, and I have to give warning for this. We have, this is the power to turn on the machine. This is not. and this is not, and this is not. So it seems kind of obscure, but it's very convenient for the machinist. It's in the right place, and I'll try to demonstrate that as I use it. The way this works is there's a little key in here, so if I put pressure down, it does not turn on. I have to spring load it open. It becomes very intuitive, actually, but at first it may be a little tricky. I have to push out and down. Now to turn it off, I go straight up till it clicks. If I go in reverse, I go out and up, and then straight down until it clicks. What you don't want to do is go out and up to turn it off, because you may miss neutral and go into reverse. So we just lift it straight up. Out, on, straight up, off. This is a 3-jaw chuck. You can see the 3 jaws. And this is what spins. This is going to hold our workpiece. This tool here is a chuck key. It has a little square end on it. And that square end fits in these holes here. And when I turn the chuck key, it changes the distance between the jaws here. Notice I have not taken my hand off the chuck key. I'll explain that in one moment. This is the material, the aluminum that we're going to be using to make our ring. So the aluminum can fit inside of here, and then I can tighten up with the chuck key. And it's hard for me to explain how tight you get it, so the general rule on a lot of machine tools is you tighten it till it stops and then go a bit farther. You don't have to pound on this with a hammer to get it tight. It's very effective at tightening itself. But you definitely don't want to leave it loose where the piece is not tight. So again, tighten it and go a little farther, and that's tight enough. What is important, I did not take my hand off the chuck key. I'm going to make a big mistake here, doing this. If I do this and accidentally turn the machine on, damage is going to happen and possibly injure it. That's why when I use the chuck key, it's in my hand until I put it away. I use it and then I put it away. It also prevents you from thinking about turning on the machine with your hand here. So. Okay, my piece is chucked up, and this is 1 inch, pretty close to 1 inch. If I put on the dial calipers on here, it's very, very close to 1 inch in diameter. I need to get this diameter to 945 thousandths, which is only 55 thousandths less than 1 inch. And that is pretty small. So I'm going to take off just a little bit on this surface. Before I do that, let me show you these controls. We have this handle here that moves, it's called the carriage, in the X direction, and this handle here moves the carriage front and back, which seemingly would be the Y direction, but on a lathe it is called the Z. axis. And then this moves it forward and back in the x-axis. The first thing I'm going to do, though, is make the end of this flat. It is not flat currently. I'm going to make it flat. This is the quick change tool rest, or tool holder. I will put in a tool here, a facing tool in this case. And if you can see the dovetail, it drops on, and then this tightens it. So to remove the tool, I loosen this. I can take it out and put another tool in. And tighten. You don't want to do any work with it loose, flopping around. But there's going to be three main operations I do: facing, turning, boring, and cutting. So facing is kind of explains what it actually does, and that is going to make that end of that tool, or that part, flat. I have my piece chucked up already. Take the camera up. And it may appear that I'm trying to be pretty careful here because of I don't need to get these cords caught in the cable. So there I am positioning this so when I turn on the machine, and I just made that flat. There's a little boss left over that has to do with the adjustment, but we'll be okay with that. Okay, next I need to turn. So I'm going to take out the facing tool and add on the turning tool. That goes here. Okay, as I showed you, this is about 1 inch. So I need to take off just a little bit, very small amount, about 20 22.5 thousandths. 27.5 thousandths. Here we go. You might see that flashing. That's because this thing wasn't perfectly round. You can see shiny on one side and still the out of the factory finish on the other. So I'm going to go a little bit farther. And with that, I'm just turning the Z-axis a little bit. There's actually thousandths of an inch right in there. So this, I turned about 15 thousandths of an inch. Turn the machine back on, forward, and use my y-axis or x-axis to open cut. Slow and steady. I'm going to back it out of there if it's spinning also. I'm going to get a measurement. I'm at 980 thousandths of an inch. I need to get to 945. So I really have to go 10, 20, 35 thousandths more. I'm going to do that in two passes. I'm going to do one in 20 thousandths and the next one in 15 thousandths. So to do that, right here, 10, 20. And I'll just do 25. And then I'll measure again, and my last one should be about 10 thousandths. Good to back it out of there with it on. Okay, I'll measure one more time to make sure I'm where I think I'm going to be. And I'm a little farther than I thought I was going to be. I'm at about 953 thousandths. So now I'm going to take off a cut of 8 thousandths to get to 45. I'm at 953, and I want to go to 945. What we're talking about is about a hair thickness I'm removing from the edge. 5 and 3 ticks more. This is my final pass. I'm going to go nice and slow and steady. Back out, nice and slow and steady. It's almost polishing. Turn off my machine. Straight up. Turn it on. We should be at 9:45. That is part one on how to make your ring on the lathe. Stand by for part two.